Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys had a tremendous day. We have a treat for you guys tonight. Two of our own influencers and my sister reading. How are you, Mr. Jordan and Miss Star?
Doing well, doing
I'm doing
well.
fine.
In
Other than
good
the allergies, I'm
company.
doing all right.
I understand. They're hitting me too.
So we're gonna be cranking it up today. You said, we're back on a Tuesday. We took a little Memorial Day break on yesterday, and I hope that everyone had an opportunity to have a truly inclusive and culturally affirming Memorial Day, recognizing all those who have dedicated their lives to this country that we have, where we acknowledge the freedoms that we have. And a lot of individuals have sacrificed quite a bit, both with their military uniform on and those that have sacrificed without their military uniform. But we know Memorial Day acknowledges those individuals who fought and died. And there are many individuals who fought and died at a time, and they didn't even have the basic rights attributed to them. So I know for me on Memorial Day, I try to think of all those, but I also give special attention to those who gave their lives in defense of freedom, even when they themselves were not able to enjoy the freedom that the country's ideals put forward.
That's a whole word right there, indeed. And that is so important. And let's make sure that is never overlooked. Um, Again, this is Tuesday and we are on week 11. Is
Is
this
that
week
right?
11?
Gee,
Yeah.
I thought we're on 12. Is it 11?
Is I thought it was 11.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it is 11.
Okay. That's a lot of weeks, but it's been great. It's been a wonderful journey. We continue to grow and amass more wonderful, wonderful villagers and members of this literacy gang. We now have these wonderful virtual village 2020 influencers. You guys are seeing more and more of them. And I think by now you're becoming accustomed to the wonderful Wednesday night that is Teen Take
Over.
Over. Okay. So, we are privy to what's going on with them a little ahead of time. We get to find out what's going on. And every time they send us that outline of what they're doing, they are bringing the heat, the fire, the thunder, the lightning, the vadoom, all of that. Okay. So I'm telling you, you're in for a treat tonight. But on Wednesday, you want to be here to be inspired. There's nothing like seeing a group of young people who are on point like this and help us grown folks see that what's coming behind us is something for us to be proud of, to be excited about, and to continue to protect and to guide. But they have the right idea, and I'm telling you, Wednesday Teen Takeover Night, yeah, that's your favorite show. And if you haven't checked it out yet, I guarantee you it will be your favorite show.
So, speaking of inspiration, we have a little music to get us kicked off here tonight.
Always, of course. Well, you guys know that y'all know how it goes with this wonderful thing that we have that goes like this.
Look, mommy, community in action. But oh my, let us sound that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. But oh my, let us sound that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, and let us sound that. Look, granny, and let us sound that. Look, granny, and let us sound that. Learning, exploring my history, you see. Look, mommy, and let us sound that. We confident, we practice and develop fluency. Look, daddy, and let us sound that. Families, they bond and they representing me. Look, granny, and let us sound that. Look, I'm here, let us sound that. Nice, I see, let us sound that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have to sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, let us sound that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, oh my, let us sound that. Creative, affirming, culture for me too. Look, granny, let us sound that.
All right.
Forever loving the sound of that. Yes, yes. That is our theme song. You guys didn't know about it. Virtual Village 2020 Clever Communities in Action. We got a theme song, y'all. And I suggest you learn it because the lyrics are really great. They're relevant, they're positive, they're uplifting, and it's also my ringtone. So can't get enough of that. Definitely. Um, It is. It is my ringtone. So let's go over here and see what villagers we have present, or at least the ones who have dropped some comments. We have our precious pumpkin, Shania. She says, good evening. Good evening, sweetie. So glad to have you here. We missed you yesterday. Hope you and grandma had a wonderful weekend. I need to go and check out your IG to see what you guys were up to over the weekend. I'm sure it was something great. And we have Pastor Cleveland Bates, who has so many wonderful things to say about the program, and in particular the influencers. Yeah, we appreciate the inspiration coming from him. And then we have Choi here. How are you doing, sis? I hope all is well with you. And there it is, you and Andrew. Good evening to you both. You know, I'm trying to recruit you and him or both of you to come up here and read. We would definitely love to see that. And then we have Ray here saying good evening, Ray. Always glad to see you in those positive vibes, and the villagers are pouring in, and it's just giving us more and more energy. Lakeisha is here. Hey, y'all, been missing you. We have been missing you too as well, sis. Hope you and Owen are doing well, and that y'all had a great weekend, everybody. So again, Ayana was saying that we have a wonderful, wonderful line up here tonight. We have some great readers coming forth, and I know you guys want to hear the story. So we're going to bring on, let's see, we're not going to waste any time. Wait a minute. Choi says we will be on soon. We can't wait. Miss you. We miss you too, sis. And so we're going to bring on our first reader. This is one of our influencers. If you guys have been tuning in on Wednesdays, then this will be a familiar face for you. If you have not been tuning in, I'm telling you that you need to. And this is a face, these two faces, Miss Ayana and Mr. Jaimir. These are people who you need to know. Young man, who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jaimir, and I'm happy to be back. Like Ms. Star said, I'm one of the virtual villagers, and I'm one of the virtual village influencers. And what that means is I get to work with the 5 other influencers, and we get to just bring something special every day. I mean, every Wednesday on Teen Takeover night, but we're also behind the scenes making sure that everything becomes streamlined and making sure that our clever community can grow and our virtual village can become more inclusive.
Hey, that is wonderful. What a great summary. So, and if you guys haven't been tuning in, if you are tuning in, then you're going to laugh at what I'm saying. If you haven't been, then just, take my word for it. They're very modest. They come up here and they say these little modest things or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it's really wonderful. But then when you see them on Wednesday, and like I said, they drop the thunder and the lightning and the earth, wind, and the fire and all of the elements and the seasons at one time. It's something wonderful that you definitely do not want to miss. So, Jaimir, you're going to be reading for us tonight, right?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
What are you going to be reading?
I'm going to be reading a book entitled Sundiata, Lion King of Mali, and it goes over the life in exile and the triumphant return of Sundiata, who is the king of Mali.
All right. Well, we've been having some conversations amongst ourselves about triumph and how triumphant we are as a people and how phenomenal and powerful that we are. And so this book falls right in alignment with that. So go on. I wish I could cue Wu-Tang Triumph right now, but I don't have that in my system. But we are going to, can I get But we're going to step away right now and let Jaimir do his thing, and then we will be back. So, all right. Let's get it.
Appreciate it. So like I said, this is Sundiata. Lion King of Mali. Okay. And this is a story by David Wisniewski. Sorry about this pronunciation. So this is by Mr. David. All right, we'll begin. Listen to me, children of the bright country, and hear the great deeds of ages past. The words I speak are those of my father and his father before him, pure and full of truth, for we are griots. Centuries of law and learning reside within our minds. Thus we serve kings with the wisdom of history, bringing to life the lessons of the past so that the future may flourish. Listen then to the story of Sundiata, the Lion King, who overcame all things to walk with greatness. There we go. Set up. So just setting up the scene. I really like the illustrations in this. As the lion rules the savannah with power and grace, So did Makhan Khan Fata rule Mali. One day, 2 hunters approached his throne. Between them walked a maiden, hunchbacked and ill-favored. King Mahan caught his breath, for such a visit had been foretold. Great king, said the hunters, we come from the land of Do, where a terrible buffalo ravaged the countryside. We slew it, and in the gratitude, the king of Do bade us bring this damsel to you. Her name is Sogalon Kejo. Though homely, she is said to possess the very spirit of that buffalo, strong and courageous. Of such spirits, great kings are born, wishes Mahan's griot. The son of lion and buffalo will be mighty indeed. So advised, the king wed Sogalon and grew to love her. You can see. Sorry about that. The next year, Sogalon gave birth to a boy. All rejoiced except Sasamor Berete, the first wife of the king. Mahan already has my fine son as his heir, she muttered bitterly. What need has he of another, especially from that hideous woman? But the new prince, Sundiata, though blessed by the spirits of buffalo and lion, proved unable to speak or walk. At this, Sasamor Berete rejoiced. Yeah, we have her peeking in on them. For 7 years, Sogalon tried in vain to heal her son with potions and herbs. Sundiata dragged himself through the palace, ignored by some, ridiculed by others. His mother was heartbroken, and his father despaired. How small the seed from which a great tree springs, counseled the king's griot, and what storms the first sprout endures. Sundiata will grow in his own time, not yours, great king. The next day, Mahan ordered his son brought before him. My time grows short, Sundiata, he said. So now I must present the gift that each king gives his heir. A young man stepped forward. This is Bala Faseke, the king continued. As his father has been my griot, so will he be yours. From him, you will learn the history of your ancestors and the laws of this life. May your destiny be fulfilled, my son. Sundiata sat up slowly, motioned Bala Faseke to his side, and spoke his first words. Bala, you are my griot. Magan's doubts disappeared, and he prepared Sundiata to rule. Coming of age moment right here. But when Magan Khan Fata died, the council of elders paid no attention to his wishes. Instead, they allowed the son of Sasamor Berete to ascend the throne. Filled with pride, Sasamor lost no time in taunting Sundiata's mother. It would seem that a walking boy is better than a crawling lion. Seeing Sogalon's tears, Sundiata summoned Bala Faseke. Go to the mastersmith, he ordered, and fetch me an iron rod. When Bala returned, Sundiata seized the rod with both hands, thrust it into the ground, and raised himself to his knees. Then, with a mighty effort, he pulled himself to his feet. The iron rod fell away, bent with strain, and Sundiata stood alone. A crowd gathered in amazement as Sundiata took a step, then another, and another. Make way, cried Bala Faseke. The lion is walking. When Sasuma Berete heard of Sundiata's new strength, she feared he would challenge her son to the throne. Late one night, she called the 9 great witches of Mali to her bedside. You must use your powers to kill Sundiata, she commanded. Our magic is useless without his anger, said the witches. Go to his mother's garden and pick her spices, his Sasuma. That will surely make him angry enough. But when Sundiata found the witches in his mother's garden, he greeted them courteously and helped them gather the spices. Alas, queen, the witches reported, our magic cannot hurt a heart full of kindness. You can do nothing against him. So Sasuma Berete bided her time. When Sundiata was 10 years old, she had Bala Faseke sent away to the court of Soso. This evil land was ruled by Sumanguru, a sorcerer king, whose huge armies and powerful magic were greatly feared. Impressed by the young griot's skill, Sumanguru resolved to keep him in Soso forever. Sundiata was angered and saddened by the loss of his friend, and Sogolon's wise words brought new pain. "You must leave Mali," she said, "before our kin fall victim to the queen's hatred. When you are a man, you will return and set all things right." Sundiata reluctantly agreed. That evening, Sogolon and her children left all that they knew and loved. For 7 years, the family traveled the harsh road of exile, journeying through forest and plain, from kingdom to kingdom. Rulers fearful of the queen's displeasure denied them shelter, and some gates were closed against them. Yet Sundiata grew in mind and spirit, even as his body grew in stature and strength. In all these trials, Sundiata never forgot Bala Faseke. At every court and caravan, he heard of the growing power of Sumanguru and of the unhappy lands under his control. The family ended their travels in the city of Nima, weary and ill. Sogolon rested by the banks of the Niger. Sundiata found favor with the king of Nima, who took him on campaigns against the mountain tribes that troubled his kingdom. Observing Sundiata's courage and leadership, he decided to make the young prince his heir. He taught Sundiata the ways of war and government, and looked upon him as a son. One day, frantic messengers pleaded to speak with Sundiata. "Son of lion and buffalo," they implored, "return to your homeland. Whatever honors you hold in Nima, leave them, and deliver your land from fire and sword." "What has happened?" asked Sundiata. "Sumanguru has invaded Mali," they said. "The king and his mother have fled. Our people have taken to the bush to fight, but they are leaderless. We have consulted the seers, and they say that only you can save Mali. The throne of your father awaits you." "The moment has come, my son," whispered Sogolon. "Your destiny is about to be fulfilled." Sundiata lost no time. The king of Nima gave him half his army, rank upon rank of armored horsemen carrying great iron spears. Riding at the head of this column, Sundiata stopped at every kingdom that had aided him during his long exile and gathered more troops. Soon a mighty host covered the savannah, and the thunder of hooves could be heard many miles away. The two armies clashed on the plain of Karina. All day the battle raged. Astride his gray charger, Sundiata galloped through the fray, searching for Sumanguru. Suddenly, Bala Faseke was at Sundiata's side. The two friends embraced. "I escaped from the palace and followed Sumanguru's army, hoping to find you," said Bala. "For these 7 years, I have pretended allegiance to the sorcerer, and I have managed to discover his weaknesses." He pulled a wooden arrow from his robe. It was tipped with the spur of a white rooster. "This is the Tana of Sumanguru," Bala continued. "The charm he believes will erase his power. The slightest touch will defeat him utterly." Sundiata took the arrow and spurred his horse back into battle. He made his way through the dust and confusion to the hill where the sorcerer stood. Notching the arrow, he drew his mighty bow and let it fly. The arrow flew straight and true, cutting through Sumanguru's cape and grazing his shoulder. At the sight of the Tana, the sorcerer let out a harsh cry and galloped from the field. Pursued by Sundiata and Bala Faseke, Sumanguru fled to the slopes of Mount Kulikoro and staggered into a dark cave. "Powers of night," he cried, "do not let me fall into the hands of Sundiata." It is said that Sumanguru then became one with the stone of the cave, where he was never seen again. Disheartened by his flight, the sorcerer's army went down to defeat. Sundiata returned in glory to Mali. Crowds lined the road the entire journey, shouting his praise. The 12 kings who had aided him in exile and in battle waited at his throne. As Sundiata sat, they drove their spears into the ground before him, swearing allegiance forever. Sundiata spoke softly, and Bala Faseke conveyed his words to the multitude. "Hatred drove me from this land," he said, "because of what I seemed to be, a crawling child, unworthy of respect and unfit to rule. Mali has suffered great hardship as a result. Now I return as your king. Henceforth, none shall interfere with another's destiny. You, your children, and your children's children shall find their appointed place within this land forever. This came to pass, and Sundiata the Lion King ruled the bright country for many golden years. And there we have it. And that is Sundiata the Lion King. Hey, how you doing?
That was excellent. That was wonderful. Everybody, let's give Jameer a hand. I see the comments coming up here. Everybody is inspired by this story. We have Glow, who says his middle child's name is Sundiata. Hearing this story is dope. Let's see. We have Lakeisha, who said one of her favorite stories, Sundiata, leader of Mali, example of true strength and determination. And let's see. Choi says, thank you, Jameer. That was an amazing story. And she's clapping for you. And Cleveland says, so informative. And Ray, great job. Excellent, with all the exclamation marks. So you got everybody feeling good here with that one. You did a great job with reading that and conveying, the sentiments off those pages. And this is what it's all about, literacy. Literacy is so important, and as a community, we are convening around literature, around culture, around history. So young, middle, older, everybody, all across generations, we are coming together around the things that matter and hearing these powerful stories. We cannot stress enough, literacy is the foundation of learning, and that is what this virtual village is all about. 11 weeks into this, 11 weeks. Yes, so shout out to everybody who's been riding with us from day one and everybody who has come along. So Jameer, what did you think of that story?
I really think that it's inspirational in the sense that it can be related not to just to the people of West Africa, but also to the Black people in America. Because while we have had roots similar to Sundiata and that we've been subjugated and mistreated, I do believe that we will have many golden years to come, as long as we continue to be resilient as we have been.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Ayana, did you have any thoughts about the story?
Well, I thought it was really good, Jameer, and then your expression while reading was really good, and then your pronunciation was amazing. Because I haven't read that book, I might have butchered a couple of words, but you did a tremendous job.
He did a great job. And don't you love how our influencers are so positive and they are always encouraging each other and bigging each other up? I mean, these young people are awesome, and a lot, again, inspiration and pride are the words that are just redundant when it comes to you guys. We're so inspired by you all, and we are so proud of you all. So Jameer, you always have a lot of wonderful things on your mind. Was there anything that you wanted to share before we get to our next reader?
I just wanted to wish that everyone had a safe weekend going out, and we continue to stay safe out here as we continue to go through life. And just want to wish everyone a blessed day. So that's all from me.
Wonderful. Well, we thank you. We accept that. We appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing the heat that you guys are bringing tomorrow. We look forward to feeling that. And thank you for reading. And we will see you again tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
Good to be here.
All right.
Good evening, sir.
That was great, as always. And again, we appreciate the love coming from the comment section, because you guys, the Village family, do a wonderful job of affirming our youth. And when we have our grown readers, everybody coming up here, it is just a big old literacy love fest that happens here. And the support that we're giving to the young ones, though, is super, super important. The engagement in the comment section, we could not have this environment without that coming from you all. So we definitely appreciate that. And now we are going to move on to our next reader of the night. Miss Ayana, would you like to introduce our next reader?
Yes, I certainly would. Our next reader is Miss Kalia, our very own Virtual Village 2020 influencer.
There she is.
Hey.
Hey, Kalia.
Hey.
Are you muted?
No,
No.
No, it's just delayed.
Okay. All right. Well, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
We are doing great. Glad to see you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. So what are you reading for us tonight?
I will be reading an excerpt from Heart and Soul by Kadir Nelson.
Can we see that? Can you hold that up for us? Okay. I think you had quite a few things that you were pondering over. So what made you decide to pick this one?
I decided to pick this one because it's extremely informative while also being very easy to read and understand. It teaches a lot about our history, and also because these illustrations are amazing, like mind-blowing. And so I wanted pictures that truly represented what I'm about to read to you guys today.
Right.
Very well thought out. Wonderful. Well, now you have us exciting and intrigued. So we are going to step away and let you do your thing, okay?
All right. So, like I said, I will be reading an excerpt from Heart and Soul by Kadir Nelson. Slavery. Them days was bad. Delia Garlic, former slave, Alabama. This may sound funny to you, but my grandfather Joseph didn't allow any of his kin to eat black-eyed peas on New Year's Day, even though it's an old African-American tradition. The beans bring good luck for the coming year, they say. But Pap, which is what we called him, wouldn't hear of it. When he was a young boy, each New Year's Day, buckets of black-eyed peas were boiled and poured into a horse trough for all of the slaves on the plantation to eat like animals. Pap hated it and vowed that none of us in his family would ever allow people to treat us in that way. Pap was the only Africa-born slave in our family. Pap was captured in 1850 when he was only 6 years old and brought to America. Even though it had been illegal to capture and import slaves to America since 1807, it still happened, and often. On New Year's Day of each year, Pap told us this story. When I was a child, I would play with all the other children in the village while the grown folk were working away in the fields. They told us to look out for kidnappers because they were stories of people who went missing, mostly children. Ooh. Very, very powerful illustration. This is amazing. Mostly children left at home during the day. One day, when the grown folks were gone out to the field, several of those people ran into the village carrying nets and clubs and grabbed me and several other children before we could cry out. They covered our mouths, tied our hands, and ran off with us into the woods. The children were marched for miles all the way to the coast, where a large ship sat out on the water. For days, Pap and many other captured Africans were kept inside a large fort on the beach before they were brought outside and paddled into a small boat to the ship. Below deck, African men, women, and children were packed like fish, chained together and crammed into spaces so tight that they could not stand up. It was dark and the air was heavy with the smell of sickness and the cries of women and children. When the ship was full, it set off for America. The trip lasted several weeks. Pap was sold to a planter in Maryland as a playmate for his son. When he reached the age of 7, Pap was sent out to work as a field hand. I could tell you about the life of a slave all day long, but even then you wouldn't guess the awfulness of it. Slaves are people who are property of other people, and most must do whatever they are told. They were bought and sold as one would buy and sell any animal or thing. Slaves had no right to property, to family, to come and go as they please, to read or write, or to speak their own language, or have a last name. No right to even protect themselves. No more rights than that of a horse or a pig. The only right a slave had was to work for his master, and work he did. Every morning, the slave driver blew the work horn or rang the bell, and all the slaves woke up, grabbed a hoe, and headed out to the fields. In the summertime, the sun was up early and down late, and the air was hot, heavy, and full of mosquitoes. With each strike of the hoe to the ground, the slaves sang to keep the time with each other and to help ease the hard work. Spirituals were born right there in the field, you know. Singing was one of the only ways to keep from dying inside. Pap said it was the saddest thing in the world to hear slaves sing those songs, but it sounded so beautiful. Made him want to cry. Some of those songs held secrets too, codes to pass on messages to other slaves right under the nose of their overseer. Like when a slave started singing "Steal Away," folks knew it was time to run away. Or when they sang "Follow the Drinking Gourd," the slave knew to escape in the direction of the North Star right at the foot of the Little Dipper. To ease the trouble of their hard lives, the slaves got together and danced on Saturday evenings. Most other evenings, they slipped off into the woods for prayer meetings, praying for the day that freedom would come. Since Pap didn't have any blood family on the plantation, older slaves took him in as their own. Before he went out to the fields, he lived in the big house with a woman he called Aunt Hattie, who worked all day under the watchful eye of the missus, cooking, cleaning, sewing, and even nursing the missus' children when they needed milk. She raised all 3 of Mrs.'s children. There were about 100 or so slaves on the plantation, and they were always hungry and dressed in rags. Most of them went barefoot because the master didn't give them but 1 pair of shoes a year, and the shoes weren't made to last. In the fields, they were watched over by an overseer who rode around on a horse making sure everybody was doing their work. And honey, that fellow was mean. To keep the slaves in line, he lashed them with a curling bull whip he kept on his shoulder, tied them to a tree, and whipped them right in front of all the other field hands. Folks a mile away could hear the awful whippings. It's no wonder so many of the slaves wanted to run away. You might wonder, why didn't they fight back? Child, believe me when I tell you that they did, every step of the way. But unlike their fellow Africans who captured them, they didn't have any guns to fight back with. So they fought with their fists and died. They fought over the ocean on the slave ships and were shot and drowned. They fought in the fields, in homes, and in factories where they worked and were whipped, beaten, and murdered. They fought and lost almost every time. It will be a long while before we figured out that we could not win our freedom with our fists or our guns. We would have to find another way. All right, and that's it for this chapter.
So she
Very
knew
nice.
strategically when to stop. She's gonna leave us in suspense like that. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, so how many chapters is it?
I think it's like 9 or 10.
Okay. Well, that was great. You left us wanting more. I'm ready for the story, but that was wonderful. And then I see what you're saying about the illustration in the book as well. Definitely.
They definitely put you right in the middle of the story.
Yes. I was feeling that. I was literally feeling that. Had to take a little moment there. Ayana, what did you think of the story?
I thought it was really good. It was very descriptive, and she said a lot within the couple of pages that she did read, and that it was very educational.
Yes. And Mr. Jordan?
I mean, I still wanted to hear more. I love what I heard thus far, and that's twice now that she teased us, right? Whet the appetite, and then pull it away from the table. So she got me waiting now for 2 books.
She knows she's strategic with her reading. She plans all of that, so she knows what she's doing. We don't know what to get her to go back to next. At this point, like we were talking earlier, should you go back to the Malcolm or should now we was just like Khalil? But it is great, wonderful. Your selections of books are reading in the way the selections are wonderful, and the way in which you read them are really powerful. And we're looking forward to whatever you decide to do next. I don't know if you're gonna go with a new one and give us a 3rd cliffhanger or a double back, but whatever it is, it's great.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Now, was there anything that you wanted to share about that excerpt?
I really like the excerpt because I've learned a lot about slavery. That's one of the only things they really do teach in school is slavery. So I've learned a lot about it. But to hear it's so descriptive, and to hear like from the perspective of somebody that actually went through it, is really, really extremely motivating and intriguing. I come from a family where eating black eyed peas was tradition for a long time. So now to hear the backstory of where it actually came from was interesting. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed this book. Like, I like this book a lot.
It's great. We look forward to hearing more about it. We're going to grab some of these comments real quickly. So we have Portia says, hi, Kalia. Thank you for sharing our history's wisdom and insight.
Thank you.
Tiffany says, beautiful, Kalia. Lamisha says, nice, Kalia, with the heart eyes. And Glow says, solid history. Portia says, very intriguing young lady. Thank you. I eagerly await the next chapter. We all do. And Tanya, hi, Tanya. She says, nice story, Kalia. And hi, Ayana. So a lot of love here in the comment section for our influencers. Great job with that story. And we always enjoy you coming up here to read. And same as I said to Jameer with you, we know y'all are bringing the heat tomorrow.
Definitely.
You know, y'all better be ready. I'm talking to the viewers. Be ready. All right.
Yes.
Was there anything you wanted to say about tomorrow?
I don't want to tell y'all too much because, of course, it's going to be a banger. But tomorrow is one that will leave you very inspired and ready for the future.
I most definitely agree.
Y'all heard that. Y'all heard. Look, if you don't know, what were you saying?
I was gonna say they're 2 for 2 so far, so I expect them to be 3 for 3 tomorrow.
Oh,
Yes. Oh yes, that's a good good numbers right there. So we appreciate you and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Wonderful. We are so proud of these younger people. They continue to make us smile, and beyond that, just again, inspiration and pride. Those are the words that we keep using. They are so inspirational, and we have so much pride for them. They are on the right track, and they are doing the work that matters. Because I will say this, you know, everybody may not agree with me with this, but when the graduation time comes around and we see all the pictures of, you know, whether children are headed to or graduating from Howard or Harvard or Clark or Cornell, I'm always like, what have we instilled in them about community? Because everything that you get from this should be about how you go back and pour into the community. All the skills that you obtain from the schools that you're going to, how does this come back and benefit where you came from? And so a couple of things come with that. We as adults, we have to make sure that as the community, as the village, that we are pouring into the young people so that they do feel inspired to come back and help build up and benefit their communities. And again, we have to instill in them that that's what it's all about. Because if you're just going to graduate and have all the titles and come from this school and that school and help perpetuate the status quo, I mean, it's nice, you know, great. You got some numbers, some letters behind your name. But I think what is more important with that, again, is the community work, the community advancement. And that's what we see the track that these youth are on. And that's what is so exciting and so inspiring to us and just makes us feel good all over, like Stephanie. So with, you know, I got to throw a musical thing in there. I haven't done that in a while. You know, I don't know what's going on, but let's see. We have another young lady, not a young lady. We have another young girl on the path of becoming a phenomenal young lady. And where is she?
She's actually right here.
Oh, okay. She's coming through that way, not that way. Okay. So, are you? Can y'all do a little side by side? Introduce her first, and then you introduce her, and then we'll talk to her. Okay.
Okay, so her name is Zuri Askew, and she's my sister. She is 13 years old, and she is a rising freshman. And I'm going to let her tell you about this story she wrote.
Okay.
All
Come
right.
on over, Miss Zuri.
Sit down. Oh. Hi.
Good evening, Precious. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. You look, oh, let's see that smile. Wow. Wonderful, wonderful. We're so glad to have you back. So what do you have going on? I hear you're doing now. Listen, you guys, if y'all caught her last week, she read for us and it was super, super wonderful. Everybody was so excited to hear her read. She reads with such a sense of purpose. We loved it. But now, whose work are you reading?
Mine.
Yours?
Yes.
What does that mean? You wrote this?
Yes, I wrote it for this contest. It's called Future Problem Solving, and I got first place in Virginia.
Future problem solving.
Yes.
And you got first place
Yes.
in the state?
Yes.
Ow, ow! Everybody give Zuri a round of applause. Hey, all right. Yes, so are you ready? Well, what is it about? Give us a little brief summary. Like, what is it about?
Well, so for the contest, I had to write a story about poverty in the future.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, you know what? The people want to hear the story. They don't want to hear me and they don't want to hear Mr. Jordan. They want to hear you. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to step away and hear this original piece by Miss Zuri.
The name of my story is Deliverance. Nova is sitting in complete darkness, just herself and the world. Her family is gone, everyone is gone. Suddenly a drone appears over her and pours abundance amount of food over her head. Am I in heaven, she thought? She thought wrong. It was a dream. Nova has a family of 3. Her baby sister Echo, who is 9 months old, and her mother, who is trying her very best for her family to survive such a challenging time in history. They wonder what the future will be like. Will it still be run by technology? Will people be able to live the way it was back in her mother's time? It's 2:56 p.m., the middle of the night. But no one can seem to sleep. They didn't eat anything that day. The Amazon Prime drones weren't not due till tomorrow morning. Nova's baby sister Echo is squealing from hunger and her mother can't seem to calm her down. They haven't eaten in 2 days because they ran out of food. Mom, says Nova. I hear a drone, she shouts excitedly and gets out of her box like home. Echo still sobs as her mother holds her close. Great, but we will have to wait till daylight. It's too dark to travel by night, says her mother concerned. Mom, I can't sit here and let the Gemins catch us in daylight. Her mother is struck by such a response. But her daughter was right. The Gemins could catch them in daylight, just like what almost happened last week. Her mother ponders as she cradles baby Echo in her arms. Fine, her mother says after a minute. Nova looks up surprisingly and smiles ear to ear, which is pretty rare for her because of her family circumstances. Her mother kisses Nova on the forehead and tells her to be careful. Nova grabs her backpack and ventures out for what hopes to be her and her family's next meal. Nova was 16 and such a clever girl, was ready for any and anything to come her way. She was tough and independent. She had to be, and she was. She had to be strong for her mom and her sister, for the community. So she did what she had to do to survive in such a world where things were accepted when she, as human, was not. The Gemins was one of the families that could afford to subscribe to Amazon Prime and lived in a mansion complex. They and a few other families lived in homes because they were the contributors and subscribers to Amazon Prime, while the others were left to poverty and hardships, while the others relaxed in their deluxe homes. They received drones full of packages of food and luxuries. Nova crept through the high grass of her neighborhood towards the Gemins' house. She arrived at the doorstep and saw packages of food and toiletry and began to pack them into her backpack. Suddenly, she heard commotion inside the house that seemed to be coming towards the door. Beads of sweat dripping down her face and the sunbeams in her eyes. She continues to place more food in her sack, but with more of a panicky effort. Her hands are sweaty and her heart beats faster than the speed of light. She had just put the last package of food in her bag and she hears the locks of the house unlocked. She runs to the opposite side of the door as it opens. Oh no, she says to herself. Zyla Jevons, a 7-year-old, looks at her with a curious smile. Hello, she says excitedly. Hi, Nova says nervously. Don't be scared, Zyla says. Her eyes travel towards Nova's sack filled with Zyla's family's food, then back at her. I'm Zyla. I've been I've barely seen anyone except for my family, she says excitedly. Nova smiles comfortably and says, that makes 2 of us. Do you mind if I take this food for my family? We suffer from hunger until your family drones arrive. Zelda suddenly looks up at her, curious eyes turn into anger in her eyes. No, she says angrily, that's my family's food and you're not going to take it. Nova panics. Mommy, she screams into the house. A stranger is trying to take our food, she cries. Nova says to herself, runs out into the tall grass toward her family. She hears footsteps and yelling. Someone was following her and fast. She runs faster in determination to get to her family and warn the others. She reaches home and is out of breath. Her mother runs to her with Echo in her arms. Nova, she says worriedly. Mama, everyone, she says to the community who are also homeless. They're coming. Get your belongings, food, we gotta go. The crowd commerces in fear and begins to pack their belongings very hastily. Footsteps get louder and louder. Run, Nova screams to the crowd. Groups of people running to a better life than before. That's at least what they hope. Nova thinks to herself, how could robots be the priority when she and others were wondering where their next meal would be? How could such an object be taken in front of their lives and others? A robot does not have feelings, does not feel hunger, but humans do. But yet the robots have taken the lives of humans. Nova will fight to get her life, her family, and others back. This is the face of poverty. A materialistic world where babies like Echo cry from hunger and thirst. Poverty in the future comes from selfishness. Poverty in the future will create no other future for children, for anyone.
That was excellent.
Indeed. Yes.
Wow. So I had to push my must not cry button. That's the only reason why y'all don't see tears right now. I've grown accustomed with these young people that I have to push that button because that was excellent, Zuri. Oh my goodness. And remind everybody if they came in a little late, who wrote that?
I did.
You did. Yes. Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That was wonderful.
So Zuri, tell us a little bit about the problem solvers and what the assignment was.
So the assignment was to create a story about poverty in the future. And so, there was different topics. You could choose poverty in the future. Then the other topic was like how if the world was turned into like an electronic and other topics that you could choose. But I chose poverty just because it seemed a little bit more closer to me because there's a lot of people in our community who are homeless. And I was wondering like, what would poverty be in the future if there was a lot of electronics and electronics took over the world? So that's why I chose that topic.
And so was there a process that you had to go through to get to the state championship, or you just submitted it and immediately went to the state?
Well, so first I had to write the story at school, and then my teacher recorded it, and then she sent it in to the future problem solving. And so I just found out that I made states.
Okay.
I got first place in states.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was well deserved. Let me grab this comment by Cleveland here. He says, "We see compassion in the midst of creativity. Great story."
Thank you.
I agree with that. Very compassionate, very thoughtful. I was envisioning the things that you were saying, like as you were speaking, I'm like seeing it, like picturing it. So you did a great job of envisioning the future in that way and injecting that compassion in there. And then the way you read it, just everything about it was great. Like we're so proud of you. I kind of don't know what else to say. Like that's just awesome. So we're gonna go through here and grab these comments. Let's see. Of course, your sister, she's excited to hear it. So she's looking forward to it. And she said, first place NBA, in case y'all forgot. Big sister wanted y'all to know. Okay, y'all see that first place in the whole state of Virginia. And we're not a tiny state. And then sister said, like and share. Her YouTube is Zuri Bakes. So if you all were not here last time, you tell them a little bit about that real quickly.
So I'm starting a YouTube channel. It's called Zuri Bakes, so I can get money to get money.
You're baking because
I like to bake. It's really enjoyable.
So she's good at baking. So she has a YouTube channel. Okay. And so we love how these young people are jumping right on this technology and learning how to use that to benefit them and their future aspirations. I think that is great. And we definitely want to support her. So once you leave here, hop on over to YouTube and subscribe to Zuri Bakes. Then you got some love from me. And let's see. You got some hand claps from Lamisha, and Lamisha said, "Well done." And let me see. It's a lot more going on here. Miss Tanya says, "Clap, clap." Victor said, "Great job, Zuri." And Glow says, "Amazing." And Portia says, "Poverty in the future comes from selfishness." I agree. And Portia also says, "You are a wise young lady." Well, we agree with all these sentiments. You see all this love you are getting in the comment section?
Yes.
Yes.
So, Zuri, what are you baking this week?
I'm gonna make peach cobbler, I think, this week.
Oh, okay. All right. If you hook an apple up, let me know.
I will.
I'm all about that peach cobbler life. So, if you want to invite me around for a slice in a socially distanced transfer type of way, I'm just saying, I'm all about that peach cobbler life. Really? No, really. You are making peach cobbler this weekend.
Yes.
That is excellent.
And remind us again, you are in what grade?
I'm in 8th grade.
All right. And looking forward to moving on to the 9th next year, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right.
Well, you did a great job, sweetie. Was there anything that you wanted to share with us?
Not really.
Okay. Well, we're super proud of you, and we always like having you up here. So you're a member of the Literacy Gang now. So that means anytime that you want to come back up here, you are welcome. If it's an original piece again, or if you want to read a book or whatever, you come back anytime, okay?
Thank you.
You are very welcome. And let's give her a hand again, everybody. Yes, yes. And now the big sister is back. So I know you are proud.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. So we see that writing is a talent in this family.
Yes. And then it's ironic that you say that because Zuri commented about how it started with my dad, and then to me as far as poetry, her as far as stories, and then my youngest sister who's 10, as far as stories too.
So are we going to get to meet her?
Yes, you will. She said that she didn't want to do it tonight, but she'll be up here later on during the week.
Okay.
Don't forget your brilliant mother.
I know, that's what I was saying.
Well, that is wonderful. Literacy and writing all up and through the family. And you all do a wonderful job. Because again, if y'all were not here last Wednesday, then you missed that Ayana so when somebody just drops a bomb on you and didn't tell you, it wasn't even fair. Like she knew she had a whole nuclear bomb in her hand and she was just silent about it and everything. But she just hit us with this silent attack like that. And it wasn't silent anymore. It was like, boom, she did the poem that she wrote. And there was not a dry eye in the house. Everybody was like, oh my goodness. And you wrote that. And as a result of that, she is now tell them about what you have going on Saturday.
Okay, so Jaimir, he introduced me to this NAACP poetry contest. So they have different categories, but the one I'll be doing is poetry performance and then the poetry written. So I have to go ahead and memorize my poem and then present it on Saturday, and then I'll find out the results Sunday to see if I made it to nationals.
All right.
Excellent. And this will be your first live performance?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, your first one was here.
Well, yeah,
oh, yeah, because you guys, it's not an in-person. This is going to be it's virtual as well.
Right.
Okay, so that'll be your second one. Your first debut was here. But that's awesome. We are so proud of you for that. That is super exciting. Please do keep us posted. And was there anything that you wanted to share? Anything on your mind before we get out of here?
No, I would just like to thank everyone in the comment section and our virtual village supporters and everything. So thank you for all your positivity that you bring. And yes.
Well, that's great. And Mr. Jordan.
Now I was just going to ask, so is that part of the NAACP AXO program?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yep. So it's great. We've had Miss Sylvia up here, and she's been a villager and offering support. And I know she has worked with Jameer and now Ayana and a lot of young people over the years as part of that program. So I appreciate Jameer introducing that to you. And maybe one day we'll get Miss Sylvia up here to read, and she can also talk about the NAACP AXO program.
That would be good. She's amazing.
She is.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it's been a wonderful. We're glad to be back. You know, we had a long 3-day weekend, so the village is back in tow, and we're glad to have everybody here, seeing everybody in the comment section supporting our young readers tonight. Again, tomorrow is Teen Takeover Wednesday, so I suggest that at 7 p.m. you have your snack ready. You are sitting in your favorite place, and that you block out everything else so that you can hear what these young people have to say. Because if you haven't heard, if you already heard it, I'm pretty sure it's your favorite show. And if you're about to hear it for the first time tomorrow, it's getting ready to be your favorite show. Okay. So be prepared, because you're going to be overwhelmed. Don't say I didn't warn you. Don't say that I didn't warn you. All right. So we want to, again, thank everybody, and you all have a wonderful evening, and well, I'll be tuning in with you all tomorrow for the greatness of these youth. All right.
See y'all tomorrow.
Peace.
Look, mommy, community in action. But oh my, love the sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. But oh my, love the sound of that. Creative, affirming, and culture for me too. Look, granny, I love the sound of that. Look, granny, I love the sound of that. Look, granny, I love the sound of that. Learning, exploring my history, you see. Look, mommy, I love the sound of that. We confident, we practice and develop fluency. Look, daddy, I love the sound of that. Families, they bond and they representing me. Look, granny, I love the sound of that. Look, I'm here, love the sound of that. Nice, I see, love the sound of that.
So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while we represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down where they have to sit. So reliable, culturally relevant. Sit back and listen to the wisdom while you represent. So reliable, culturally relevant. Readers to leaders, they hold it down, yeah, they have to sit.
Look, mommy, community in action. Well, oh my, love the sound of that. Look, daddy, there's a book for me too. Well, oh my, love the sound of that.